Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at your nose.
I have to bust the dogs.
It's been said many times, many ways.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Today is Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. The time is now 6 p.m. and this meeting of the Boynton Beach Community Redevelopment Agency Board is now called to order. Let's proceed to the invocation led by Board Member Hay and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Board Member Cruz. Let's all stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Gracious and Almighty God, we thank you for allowing us to gather this evening and for guiding our great city of Boynton Beach CRA board throughout this 2025 year. During this holiday season, we pause to express our gratitude for each staff member whose dedication, hard work, and commitment helps strengthen and uplift our community. Lord, we bless our time together. Give us wisdom in our decision, unity in our purpose, and compassion for the people we serve. And as we approach the close of another year, Lord, surround us and our families with your peace, your protection, and your joy. We honor you for all you have done, all you will do for the city of Boynton Beach. And so we say, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, Feliz Navidad. In Jesus' holy name we pray. Let every heart say amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I love it. You know, I forgot to say the tree.
Me too. Thank you, everybody. Let me turn to City Clerk Maylee De Jesus. If you could please begin the roll call.
Chair Shelton,
Present.
Vice Chair Hay,
Present.
Board Member Cruz,
Present.
Board Member Turkin,
Wait, present.
Sorry, I thought you said turkey. I'm here.
Board Member Kelly.
Here.
Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We are now moving on to additions, deletions, corrections to the agenda. Let's begin on my right with Board Member Cruz. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections you'd like to
Nothing
make?
for me, Chair.
Board
None for
Member
me.
Hay? Board Member Kelly?
No, thank you.
Board Member Turkin?
No.
I may have a motion to approve the agenda as
So
presented.
moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Board Member Kelly and a second from Board Member Hay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Let's now turn to legal counsel. Are there any updates?
Good evening, Catherine Rossmo, Lewis, Longman, and Walker. No legal updates, but I will follow Board Member Hazley to just wish you all a happy holidays here at the end of the year.
Thank you so much.
All right.
We're going to move to informational items and disclosures by board members and CRA staff. Before we start that, I would just like to make an introduction to Officer Jean as our NOP officer. If you want to just come on down, let us thank you, and everybody give him a wonderful hand of applause for stepping up and moving into this. We're so lucky to have you.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure. So I look forward to doing great things as part of the CRA's overall mission. So thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to seeing you out and about.
You. All right.
So let's begin on my left. Board Member Turkin, do you have any informational items or disclosures?
I did speak with legal counsel regarding the item 14D, Bonnie Miskell.
Okay. Board Member Kelly?
I did speak, it's been quite a while, with representatives regarding 14D.
I too recently spoke to legal counsel for 14D. Board Member Hay?
I do not have any disclosures, but I would like Well, that's informational only. I would like to say about the parade and all that good stuff. It was phenomenal, as always. Really enjoyed it. The crowd on the tree lighting was one of the largest that I've seen in quite a while, if not the largest. So kudos to all of those whose hand was involved with that. It was truly a success, and everybody appeared to be having a great time. So keep up the great work. Thank you.
Board Member Cruz?
Thank you, Chair. I did speak with a representative for 14D, Bonnie Miskell, Legal Counsel, and I want to follow up with Board Member Hayes' comments. I know it's not a city meeting, but I do want to give thanks since we won't have another meeting for a while. Thank you to all city staff for doing an amazing job in the event. It was great to see everybody, and looking forward to the boat parade this Friday.
Thank you. Now let's now look at items under information only. Are there any information only items my colleagues would like to discuss? Nope. Okay, let's move on to announcements and award. There is one announcement. Staff, if you could please come down and present it. Welcome.
Good evening, Board. Mercedes Coppin, Business Development Manager. We are very excited to be hosting the 53rd Annual Boynton Beach Holiday Boat Parade. The boat parade will take place this Friday, December 12th, starting at 6:30 p.m. is when the actual parade will take place. It's going to be leaving from Old Key Lime House, traveling south on the intercoastal waterways all the way through Boynton Beach, Delray Beach, and ending just south of Linton Boulevard. We will have our official watch party at the Boynton Harbor Marina starting at 6 p.m. We'll have live music from Making Faces, a visit from Santa Claus and Mr. Grinch, and we'll have lots of activities for families, and we'll also be featuring Sure's Chocolate, Common Grounds, and Two Georges during that for food and libations. So we look forward to seeing you all there. Any questions?
Just a comment.
Yes.
Mercedes, if you would just tell them to slow down.
Well, I'm actually heading right now to Paloma. We're having the captain's meeting tonight, so I'll be sure to let them know to slow down as they're passing our judging station.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sometimes they zip by so quick, it's hard to really focus on all of the things we have to judge, so, yeah.
Yeah.
I just
Point.
also wanted to say, I don't know if I've said it before, but ahead of time, you guys have always done a wonderful job putting it together, and also like sitting there judging, like putting everything together. So thank you for that.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Very good.
Great, thank you.
Mercedes.
Let's move on to the next portion of the agenda, which is public comments. The public comment section of the meeting is for public comment on all items on the agenda or items that are not on the agenda. Each speaker will be given a total of 3 minutes to comment on all items on the agenda. However, the board retains the right to increase or decrease the 3-minute limit prior to the start of public comment. Each public speaker shall be given the same number of minutes unless it becomes necessary to terminate a speaker's comments in order to maintain orderly conduct and proper decorum in the public meeting. Persons making public comment may not assign or donate their public comment time to an individual to allow that other individual time to comment. However, any persons requiring assistance will be accommodated required by the Americans with Disabilities Act. Prior to addressing the board, speaker present at the meeting will go to the podium to make their comments, and speakers participating virtually will unmute their device at the time. Speakers may be asked to state their name and address for the record. Any person may provide written comments to the board prior to the board. So anyone who would like to speak, come on up now.
Don't start yet. So there's one. I'll have to do this twice. Thank you. Susan Ware, Boynton Beach. So I want to say absolutely stupendous tree lighting. Yay. Good job, everybody. I don't know who chose that tree. I think it's probably Melanie. Kudos to her. That is like the coolest tree I think I've ever seen. It's cool. It is art forward. We are an art city. It's embracing what we are, but it's kinetic too because you can walk through it. So outstanding job to whoever chose the tree, and I think it was Melanie, so kudos to her. Or if I'm missing somebody, whoever that is. I want to also say there's a code workshop over in room 115, so if you're bored here and falling asleep, head on over to there and learn all about the new parking and tree codes, because I've already given them an earful. This is something I just thought I'd share. I used to spend time educating the boards, and I don't always get a chance to now. The first page is it from the news today about the drought problem, because I'm always spouting off how there's no water, so we need to stop building. The second thing I'm going to say is, we really need to stop giving out TIF money for apartments, because we don't need apartments, we need jobs. And I'm sure you've seen the news, Kelly Smallridge in our Economic Development Bureau is up in New York City trying to bring jobs down to Palm Beach County. So let's give them someplace to go besides really expensive rents in West Palm and Boca. Let's let them come here and bring their money and their jobs here, because that doesn't require as much water as apartments do that we don't need. And as I'm sure the mayor and Commissioner Turkin will tell you, Board Member Turkin, there's thousands and thousands of homes sitting around here empty that we can't sell. So we don't need to be building anymore because we have thousands we can't get rid of. But I'm handing you this because I thought this was interesting. One of the advantages to my traveling is seeing what they do in the rest of the world. And London, I think we can all agree, is one of the 2 or 3 most unaffordable cities on the planet. And they have found an innovative approach to making workforce affordable housing, and that's what this is. And you might want to take a look through, and when you get to, I think it's the back of the first page. I think it's this page. Looks like this, about the 3rd or 4th paragraph down. It starts explaining what they're doing, and you actually part rent and part own, but it's like a rent-to-own scheme. And it is very, very, very successful in London. It allows you to have a more expensive property and still be able to afford it. So you can have those luxury places, but still the average person can get on the property ladder. And if you guys as CRA are going to start, working with developers, although I think we need jobs, not apartments. I think we should be going condos or townhomes, but this might be an affordable way for you guys to present this. And if you're doing public-private partnerships, the P3, this might be an avenue to explore to make it affordable for people to start buying. So read this, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. And I put the ads in so you can go to the websites for the developers.
Thank you. Next, please.
Thank you. My name is Gavin Sizer, and I live at Boynton Beach, 1209 Northwest 7th Street. I'd like to speak on the need for a resident-centered renewable energy and redevelopment in our city. I appreciate that the city is exploring innovative tools to make our city management and city planning more efficient, like AI to manage tasks and resources. Modernization is important, but efficiency alone does not protect the families who are dealing with rising heat, rising utility bills, and rising stress, as well as a shortage of water. Our hottest days are becoming normal, bills continue increasing, and the people who feel it the most are residents, especially in our redevelopment areas. That's why I want to propose a solution that helps both the city and the community. For example, a section of the Boynton Beach Mall, which I do know is outside of the CRA boundaries, but specifically vacant parking lots or vacant lots that are being unused by the CRA, currently absorbing heat and sitting unused. If even a third of those spaces were converted into green walkable community parks with shade, trees, solar canopies, benches, community gardens, or even atmospheric water generation to combat that water shortage, it would immediately reduce the heat island effect, bring visitors back to the mall areas and other public spaces, create safe, welcoming public spaces. Solar infrastructure in these areas could serve as the foundation of a microgrid with a large enough array. The city could cut its own energy costs and even sell excess electricity to surrounding areas, generating new revenue without raising rates on residents. I understand, once again, that some of these areas that are key for development may be outside of the CRA's boundaries. But I'd like to propose feasibility studies for similar redevelopment in other areas to serve as a pilot project that brings real relief to residents while opening a pathway to long-term renewable energy revenue for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone online?
No, Chair, there is nobody online.
Public comment is now closed. We would continue to the consent agenda. Are there any items my colleagues would like to pull for discussion? Let's start on my left with Board Member Turkin.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Board Member Kelly.
No, Chair, thank you.
Board Member Hay.
No.
Board Member Cruz.
For me, thank you.
May I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
And we have a motion to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Motion passes 5-0. 4-0, 5-0. Got it. Okay, moving on. Thank you. Let's move on to the pooled consent agenda. Nothing was pulled on that, so let's move on to the CRA Advisory Board.
Good evening, Board. Tim Tack.
Is your mic on?
Assistant Director. I hope so. Are we good? I just got to talk into it, I guess. All right, so per the November 19th CRAB meeting, I just wanted to give you an update. They continue discussions on additional ways to honor the 2 Heisman candidates, and will continue discussions in December 17th meeting. They also discussed the future dates and have agreed upon those future dates being the 3rd Wednesday of the month. They appointed a new vice chair, and they had a question for the board in particular. They wanted to inquire if the CRA board would like them to continue discussion and research into ideas and names for renaming streets. That was a part of the recommendation per the CRA plan that was assigned back in January 14th. One, it being a long time ago, and 2, the fact that they felt that a lot of community input would be needed for this, and it was a little bit outside of necessarily the scope, because they felt that a lot of community input and support would be needed to even approach that idea. So just looking for some direction on that.
Chair, if I may.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we should steer away from that. As a proposal, it may not be a bad idea to have maybe some direction for the CRAB board based on our discussions in these joint workshops, because I feel like a lot of times we'll have some collaborative ideas, and sometimes we're leaving with a what's next or a how-to. So that might be an opportunity for the CRAB board. Maybe they designate somebody if they're not already participating or listening in on those joint workshops, and then developing some kind of strategy or some type of macro level idea that could be brought forward back at either the CRA meeting or at one of those next workshops, or directly to staff as well, both the CRA and city level.
Anyone else have any comments or questions for Mr. Tack?
I agree, and I think that as we move forward with having discussions about updating the CRA plan, I think we'll end up with a lot more tasks that we can give them. So, Tim, unless staff, unless you or Chris or staff have any ideas on things that they can explore that we could utilize as we're moving forward with discussions on the CRA plan. I know we did have a lot of discussions at the last joint meeting, so maybe if there's some things you can pull out of that would be a good task for them to assist with. I'd be fine with that, but I do agree that I think that at this point, because we're talking about updating the CRA plan, having them go down this road of street names I think we're premature. So I think that's probably something we can put off for a bit and rediscuss later. Are my thoughts.
Okay. Board Member
The
Hay?
board, as a consensus in your direction, also, they did discuss potential acquisition of the property located at 911 South Federal Highway, known as the Tiki Motel. This is not a listed property. It was contacted to staff. We have not performed an appraisal. We brought it before CRAB to take a look at. You can see where it's located right there, Papa John's to the south. It's a little bit close to our senior center. However, at that time, in reviewing this, the board did recommend not pursuing, but to pursue at a future date, based upon what they reviewed. If you look at it, it's mixed-use medium, which I believe is 50 units per acre, which, I don't know how that would necessarily work for here on a half-acre size lot.
Chair, if I may.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm okay with foregoing and maybe looking at this later down the road. We're starting to see that, we're starting to see the real estate market slowly cool down, I believe, as far as pricing goes. And so, it's ironic, we're getting a lot of initiated, like, potential purchases, because I think, a lot of people want to dump while they have it, and, there's one expression you say in the stock market is, you never want to catch a falling knife, right? So I don't want to grab a falling knife. I think there's going to be an opportunity where we can get a lot of these properties at a better deal. In addition, it's not really contiguous with anything as we discussed, Tim. And, if it was, part of a larger assemblage that we're looking at, that's a different story, because I think, there's more of a vision at some of these other sites we've identified. But, for me, later down the road is okay, if that's okay with the board.
Yeah, I agree. You said that you were going to do an appraisal, or?
We have not done performed one. I wanted to bring it back to you, give the recommendation, and then based upon your recommendation, direct staff how to proceed.
Okay.
I think based on the appraisal, it would be another parcel to deal with down the road when it comes to swapping with the city and taking a look at what we can and cannot do, because this is on federal, and that adds a little more value to it. So I would definitely be interested in it after we take a look at the what it's appraised to, what it's appraised at.
I would be curious about the appraisal too, because I did walk Federal the other day, and I was looking at that place and saw a lot of like ickiness and thought, God, I wonder what's like. There wasn't even a car in there. And now that we have closed the inn and the homing inn, I worry, are they going to start going into those type of establishments that we do see on Federal? So it'd be something just to watch out for. But I don't think that we move on it right away, but I'm curious to see what the value is
Right.
Right.
to keep watching it.
I agree.
All right, well, we'll take your direction, and we'll go ahead and pull the appraisal, and we'll bring it back for a future discussion.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you. Board Member Cruz, do you have anything you want to add before we move on?
No, for me, thank you.
Mr. Tack, are you done with all your reports?
That is all in regards to the crab board.
Now we will move on to old business. The first item for discussion and consideration is the Heart of Boynton Shops project. Mr. Brown, do you have an update for us?
Presentation, but I do want to make some introductory remarks. I've in my past, I've worked on two main streets for MLK, one in Delray, which was Fifth Avenue, and one in Pompano, which is called MLK. And I can tell you right now that this is the finest MLK development I've seen in my career. And I think that we need to make this thing work. And we need to support the merchants. And the merchants are going to provide a service to the residents. And it won't be just to the black residents, it'll be to everybody in this town. Because when I went on the tour of the Heart of Boynton and tasted Big John's food, I said, I'm bringing my family here on Sunday. We're going to have, when you're open, we're going to be here having breakfast all the time. So it'll serve a lot of the population of Boynton.
Okay, Bonnie? you have
Good
the
evening,
floor.
Board. Bonnie Nicklin, Grants and Project Manager. At the direction of the Board, we're bringing back some updated numbers for your consideration. After the November Board meeting, I went and met with each individual tenant, took a deep dive into their numbers, not only at their build-out costs, their equipment cost, any other associated costs to get them open and operating, including signage, data, networking, all their equipment. So I got those numbers and put it into a brief presentation. Just a quick overview, 7 tenants. Right now, the build-out contracts just for the shells total of approximately $1.6 million. Of that 1.6, and that's again just for the 7 tenants, we're contributing about $600,000, which comes out to 38% of the funding for the structural items. This is the current breakdown. The top row includes their equipment cost and the build-out cost. So for the bakery, urgent care, dentist, restaurants, and law office, you can see the grand total. what I found interesting, the restaurants, while their build-out costs are higher, their equipment costs aren't quite as high as the medical offices. Urgent care and dentist, their equipment costs are quite hefty. So you can see the breakdown as the rows go down, the current out-of-pocket expenses for each of the tenants with the current funding in place. And the last row shows the current percentage the CRA is contributing on an individual tenant basis for the structural items only, permanent items that stay with the space if they were to leave. After meeting with all the tenants and reviewing their costs, we met as a team to kind of find out what is that point to where we are setting them up with a little stronger foundation without doing everything. And what we came up with is 80% of the structural items only. So with that scenario in place, you can see what the proposed breakdown would be. The total build-out costs stay the same, and then the out-of-pocket come down to the tenants. But even so, you can see the tenants are still investing heavily into this project, into the success. I think what's important is to notice these are neighborhood-serving uses. This funding is going to the community. It is going back into the heart of Boynton for a project that was so requested years and years through all these RFPs. So I want to just point out that I think it's such a great diversity of uses in the shops. So if the board were to consider that funding, we currently would need an additional $719,000. We have $2.6 million available as part of the audit, which will come up later on the agenda, that can be pulled. Some of that funding can be pulled and reallocated to this. That 719 number includes contingency. And again, it covers 80% of the structural items that are permanent and stay. Another recommendation that I have is right now we have grant funding and development funding. Because of this project, staff's recommendation would to withdraw the grants because it makes it a little complicated to track the funding, move all the funding into one pot, and then we can move that pot of money towards the structural items. None of the funding would pass through any of the tenants. It would go straight for approved permanent improvements on the structural space, and staff would be there to review those pay applications as they come in from the contractor. And then just lastly, I wanted to revisit a 2023 economic impact study that the CRA had with the county's housing and economic development. Board member Turkin had this request, and I think it is a good point to show of the job creation and the 5-year impact for this project. We have this report for similar projects, the Villages and Piers, and the Heart of Boynton, and surprisingly and impressively, Heart of Boynton Shops has the highest impact because of the commercial component and the specific uses in place. So based on that report, they used the REMI model, and I think there's a full report on the dais if you'd like to read it in detail. But the permanent job creation between the tenants would be around 70 jobs, with a 5-year creation of 518 permanent jobs, bringing the overall 5-year estimated impact for the commercial component alone to $56.6 million, with the 5-year overall project impact with the residential and commercial component to 102.7. So I think, again, it's just a testament to the overall catalyst this project's going to bring to the Heart of Boynton and the community. So I'm here for any questions that the board may have. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
I'd just like to say, Bonnie, that really, really appreciate you working so hard to work this out and make those spreadsheets so that they could work, because we put a lot of effort, money, time, and all of the above into this project. It's won all kinds of awards, and we want to make sure that we can do everything we can to make it successful even more than it already is. And I like the idea that they're putting some skin in the game also. It's not, just give them everything. So I like that idea. And just realizing, too, that this is not just District 2 project, even though it's in District 2. It's for the city of Boynton Beach, and it's going to make a tremendous enhancement. And I do like the idea of putting all the funds in one pot. That's a great idea. That gives us a little more leverage and divvying out to those in need, because we have a lot of lessons learned on this particular project, and I'm sure we will be making some changes in the future when we have such a project come before us again. So again, I want to thank you. I'm all for it. Let's move ahead with it.
Any other questions? Yes.
I just wanted to make a quick comment. Bonnie, I think you've done an excellent job with putting all this together. It's very impressive, and having all the information in front of us with the sheet and everything. And I think it's a very, very important initiative for the community and for the CRA and for the city as a whole, to be able to support businesses in this real way, tangible way, and for it to be a catalyst to hopefully truly move forward with the purpose of a CRA, which is to reduce slum and blight and economic development. So thank you for that.
Board Member Turkin.
Thank you, Chair. Bonnie, thank you again. Tim, Chris, thank you. It's frustrating because I feel like we shouldn't be here, and I feel like we shouldn't have to pitch in to make this happen. Once again, this board is having to put on their capes and become superheroes to save the day, and I just want to thank everyone for being so patient with the developer. It seems that, you know, once the primary focus of residential was complete, everything kind of went by the wayside, and I don't think that's fair at all. The quick question about the total amount, does this contribution in the presentation, does it include the rental reimbursement for the applicants?
No.
So that's my only concern, is we have never done an 80% subsidy for any business in the city. And personally, that's not something that I can sit here in goodwill and do. I'm more than happy to work with all of these tenants in a way that doesn't seem like we are, you know, going to extremes in order to make something happen. I do agree with the process of allocating the funding to having it direct to contractor. I think that's fair, and you know that helps me swallow this pill easier. I just want to know what other options do we have. You know, it looks like some of the lower cost units, I don't see the uses here. You know, they're closer to that 80 already, but you know, with these businesses that have larger costs, that's more of my focus. And so I don't know if there's an opportunity where we can maybe do 60% or, you know, develop some form of formula that will benefit and continue this project, but without going to the extreme of 80%. Because I want to remind everyone, on top of this, there also is the rental reimbursement. So we're here, I think $600,000 in, as you said, and now we're looking at another $700,000 to no one's fault, but except for the delay of the project and costs increasing over time. And so I just I can't go with 80%. I'm hoping that we can compromise and find something that the business owners can swallow and that we can swallow and move forward. Because I think one thing again to consider is we've already engaged. We provide this project had TIF tied to it, right? And in my opinion, it seems that what was delivered by the recipient of that TIF wasn't fair. And so I don't feel that the CRA should be on the hook of all that. So that's my position. I can't go for 80% because I feel like we are contributing a good amount. But I'm more than happy to work with the business owners and come to a common ground of something that's a little bit more mediated so that we can focus on other projects throughout the city as well.
I have a question. Where we left off with this last time was that there was going to be some communication with the developer. Did anything come to light on that?
We've met with the developer. We're actually weekly meetings now with the owner, as well as their PM. They have committed additional forces on site for on-site supervision to monitor the progress of the construction, and they are committed to getting this project finished. we're hoping to see what the progress is, make sure that they are actually honoring their commitment, and hopefully we'll have better things to report towards the end of this month. We are very close on Unit 108 and 106.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, I made my position very clear at the last meeting, and it's my position, I will do whatever I absolutely can to make sure that this happens. In my conversations with Tim and Chris during, I honestly, I would like to see the developer contribute to this, because I feel like we wouldn't be in this situation but for the unnecessary delays. At the same time, I don't want to also have anything stall. So I'm in this weird position where I'm almost like, can we keep it moving and contribute another percentage while still asking the developer who put us in this situation, 248 days and growing since permits were issued, and get them, I mean, it's difficult after the fact. I know, Chris, you and I spoke about this. It's always difficult after the fact to ask the developer for anything. But at the same time, they're still expecting us to provide them letters and support for them to get reimbursements. So I think that we also need to look at, look to them too and say, we're in this predicament, we're in this situation. Our tenants, our residents, our business owners are in this position because you finished your job and left. And so I'm in if at the end of the day, I also don't want this to not happen. I don't want, and most businesses, we know, when people open businesses, they're not building from the dirt. They have a shell. They have the startup. They're coming into maybe a restaurant that was already a restaurant, or it was something, or a doctor's office that was already a doctor's office. And so, yeah, they have to do some minor modifications or adjustments to make it their business. But we're having business owners come in from scratch, from the dirt. And so I feel like as much as it is a large pill to swallow, at the same time, I think that it's my position that we owe it to them to make sure it happens. I mean, do I think we would be in this position if it was 248 days ago? Probably not. If we were, but it's hindsight's 2020, and it is what it is, and we have to just move on. So if that means that we do a smaller percentage now and go to the developer and see if they'll contribute so that we can keep the ball rolling, and then come back in a month. By then, we should have had those conversations, and if we need to, if they're sticking to their heels in the ground and we're not going to move, then we look at it and we push forward. Because the last thing I want is for any of these 7 units to not move forward because they absolutely financially can't.
My concern of doing this right now is you've been meeting with the developer the last 4 weeks, right, since our last meeting. If we do this now, I don't think the developer is going to be inclined to give us anything right away. And I don't know if they know how serious we are. And this is before my time, so if they do not keep their deal, do we have any recourse going after them? So say we were to give this money in January or February or a reduced rate and still going, can we go after them for the difference because they didn't keep their end of the deal?
So in answer to your question, I think part of what the direction that we're seeking is the ability to modify our contract with the developer. Because right now, as Bonnie said, the pot of available money to the tenants is in 2 pots. It's in the CRA grant pot, and it lives in an agreement with the developer. With your direction, we could go seek to modify that agreement with the developer to move the funds, and so it would have the developer have more money. And as part of that, we could discuss putting in place deadlines and other items for the development that would potentially, now this would be subject to their agreement, right? Because we would be negotiating an amendment theoretically, but that is a path that we could pursue with this board's consent.
Okay. I do like that solution better because I feel like any good real estate negotiation and things, sometimes you have to play tennis a little bit. And if we've been meeting with them and it's only been a month, and what have they done in a month, right? So I think I'd like to see what happens in month 2. But again, I agree with you. I want these businesses to be there and running and established. And I'm sorry that all of you have been put through this. But I think that we're giving in a little too early on that developer side, and we would lose some of our hand in our negotiations or recourse. It's just my thought. Yes, sir.
I see which way this is going, but disagree with it. I just feel that we're penalizing the tenants. We've been after this over and over again, and we have really worked out a solution here that will work for the betterment. We could still, if we wanted to, I say put some time limits on this, because this could go on and on and on. And it's been long enough already. These tenants have made loans, they're paying on them, they're losing money, okay? And we sit here and we come up with these ideas, which some are good and some are not so good. But I just feel that we need to really tighten the rope here. If we're gonna go this route, then let's put some concrete dates to make this developer move off his behind and make something happen. Because for too long it's been, it's like trying to hit a moving basket. It just keeps moving. So we've got to narrow it down, set it in concrete, and if you don't comply, then we're coming after you, if I may use that terminology, in a nice way and make you mount up. So that I guess that would be my big thing, based on what I'm hearing, is to really put some tight constraints on this developer to make things happen.
Yeah, I can see both sides, and there's legitimacy to both arguments. I do agree that it is the developer's responsibility for the delay, and they need to be held accountable for it. At the same time, a lot of people that are here that are new business owners or attempting to become business owners within our CRA district have taken out loans, are currently paying out those loans. I feel for them, and I know we all do. At the same time, I think that there's definitely validity to finding a way to support them, as Board Member Hayes stated, maybe having a specific timeline, like if it, what's gonna happen by, maybe if we talk about it now, is it gonna be next meeting? And if not, let's not delay it any further, because they're already paying back on those loans. A month from now until there could have been a month of significant progress within the internal build out of their business. Also, it's going to create local businesses. But if we do give this money, I do want to create more than a suggestion, but more of a requirement for local hiring, because we're investing local dollars here. And a lot of these jobs are, I think, jobs that our residents could do. So if we're going to give this money, we want to invest it back into our community by prioritizing hiring local. I would support moving forward with, I do agree 80% is outrageous. It's a really, really high amount. At the same time, can we go back to thank you. If we look at the total costs, the total build-out costs, a lot of them are over $400,000. And so do we want to maybe consider looking at what types of businesses we want to prioritize, for example, not to, but for example, professional offices are significantly less costly than, urgent care, dentist, and maybe restaurants. I don't know. It's just a thought.
Go ahead.
No, I would not want to try to put one in front of the other. They all have been sitting patiently and working hard, and they have some skin in the game, and they're serious about this. And I think we need to do everything we can as a CRA to help them make this be a success. We have had other projects in the past where we've spent money, in my opinion, somewhat unwisely. This is not unwisely. I think Bonnie has laid out a way that this could be accomplished, and we can move on, and we apply those lessons learned moving forward. I just can't see allowing this particular developer to tie our hands over and over again like it's happened in the past. I fought hard for this project from day one, and I'm sure that many of us sitting up here who were here at the time did the same thing. And here we are at this crossroad way down the field. Is way overdue, and we figured out a way to make it happen. And we want to talk about a few thousand here and a few thousand there, and we don't have any, and we don't even think about some of the projects that we're talking about buying that cost millions and millions of dollars. I just feel that here's an opportunity that we can help some entrepreneurs who are eager and ready to move and make Boynton Beach a better place, and we just ought to do it.
Can you let me know, because again, this was before my time, what is the rent reimbursement policy?
We
And how
reimburse 50% of the rent
The
up
first
to a grant maximum. So with the rent there, no one maxes out the grant. I'd have to check, but it's 1,000 square foot and $22 a square foot. So on average, the rents are $2,200 $2,200 a month plus their, taxes and CAM. So
that lasts a year?
for the first 12 months. So once they pay their rent, they show me proof of payment, and I reimburse them their 50% match, which is around $1,100 a month.
Right.
It's a one-time only grant to, help businesses offset
Can't be
those.
extended after a year or?
No, the only clause we have in our current grant program is if a business grows and expands more than 50% of their current square footage, they can reapply for the grant. So on a few instances, I've had businesses grow and expand into other locations, and so they're able to reapply. But it wouldn't be applicable to, because they're all leased out, so would not be applicable.
Do you see, I don't know if I'm going to word this right, but do you see that if the rent reimbursement was taken off of the amount, would that ruin them from being able to open the business? So if they were given this amount of money, but that rent for the year that they're getting back was taken off of the $719 per unit?
Hey, Bonnie,
Yeah.
just for clarification, what is the typical rent reimbursement of an 1,000 square foot at $22 a square foot? I mean, that's what we're looking at, right?
100.
Most of the units average around 1,000 square feet.
Right, and then the restaurant uses get half, and what are the other, or do we have any tier two as a part of this grant program?
No one maxes out the grant in
Right.
this because of the smaller unit size, so they all are a 50% match.
So.
Whereas like if it was a 3,000 square foot restaurant, the max they could get is $2,000 a month.
Okay.
But because of the smaller unit sizes, no one maxes out the grant.
So we're roughly around $12,000 to $14,000. We're talking about rent assistance.
Yeah, I think the average rent grant was, 11 to 14 maybe even.
Right.
Per unit?
Per unit.
Yes.
About 70,000. Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So maybe there's an opportunity, if we were to decide to move forward with assisting in an increase of the contribution to a build-out and looking at this as a tiered system. I don't know, does that exist already with the build-out? Is that done in tiers, or is that just done by construction costs?
No, our property improvement grant is based on tiers.
tiers,
We have
okay.
tier 1 and tier 2 and tier 3. So tier 1 is restaurants, bakery, gourmet food markets, hotels, bed and breakfast. They get a 50% reimbursed up to $50,000. Professional offices, boutiques, medical offices, all those generic uses, more or less, would be tier 2, and they get $25,000 reimbursed.
For
And then,
For the build-out? But here before us, we're looking at 80% an example for the tier one, you said it was 50%, they get reimbursed?
$50,000.
$50,000, I'm sorry.
Yes, and then-
Up to 50,000.
Yeah, so
Okay.
all of our grants are 50% matching up to grant maximum. So 50,000 for restaurants, $25,000 for tier two, that's boutique, retail, salons, medical offices, professional offices. And then tier three is restricted to exterior improvements only for like pawn shops, auto stores.
Sure. Yeah, so I think, and that's what I mentioned earlier, I think there's a way we can develop some form of formula where we can at least contribute a little now. I don't know if it was board member Kelly or the chair that mentioned it, is if we do too much now, then we don't have, any, I don't want to say leverage, but the developer's not going to have any appetite or reason to try to show good faith and help us with initiating these businesses to get off the ground. And so again, I'm okay to increase, these contributions, at a way that we feel is fair across the board. I don't want to cherry pick from each one of them. I think there is a way that we can look at what the build out is, contribute a little bit more here. Maybe they're okay there, get the feedback from the businesses. But I think a standard 80% across the board, I don't think, for me, I don't think we're in that need yet. I think we do have an opportunity to get some good faith from this developer. So I don't know if there's a rush on this, or if we can potentially identify potential opportunities, or we could create a formula and, come back with some different numbers that are lower than the 80%.
I think our rush right now is to get them in, right? To get the developer to push his contractor to get these build-outs done. That's our biggest push. As far as the dollars, that's something that we can rehash and go over. But right now, our priority is to get the developer to perform.
And that's the change to the agreement that you need.
When we were talking about the potential, we would be amending the development agreement, which would bring up those items as potential negotiation terms, or
Okay.
negotiated terms.
Okay.
Bonnie, real quick, have we paid out all of the contributions that we've set aside to date, or are they?
The first round of pay apps came in last week. Tim and I reviewed them and marked them back up and sent them back to Centennial. What's today? Monday? Yesterday. We sent them back out with notes, but they are coming in higher than the current contribution of $51,000. So that means any balance due would go to the tenant for payment.
And that's another term you got to factor in. Whatever this formula is we come up with, the cost is constantly going up.
Well, and when we negotiated that contribution, when we first talked about this now, probably 2 years ago, 23, 3 years ago, and Centennial agreed to help us with this build out. Obviously the costs were, that 51,000 or 50,000 would have covered it. And so now here we are, not on any fault of the tenants or staff or even this board. We're in this situation where they're higher than expected. And I stand by what I said. We have to help. We will help. And I will help. I will do whatever I can. But I would like to, Catherine, I would like to have you start having those discussions to amend that agreement to put timelines, because we're not going to be discussing this in 248 more days. It's not an option. So to talk to them about deadlines and talk to them about, when they send us a bill for more for the shell, without a solution. Just send us a bill and say, here's the bill, pay it. When you know that the costs are more than what you agreed to support us, and you agreed to go in with us on this and work with us on it, and to just send us a bill and say, oh, pay it. And now we have to be on the fighting end of it again, instead of having a developer that's going to work with us and work with our tenants and be a true partner in this project. And I feel like here we are. This is like
Not to geek out on numbers a little bit, but the reason, the methodology that was proposed as a flat percentage of CRA contribution is specifically to address the fact, if you go to the previous slide, you can see the different uses have different requirements depending on the use. So they're right there at 72%. We're already contributing that right now towards the professional office and 61% towards the law office. So the idea is that the 80% would create a fair amount across all the uses regardless of the use. That was the methodology. That was trying to address that deviation between, if you're a restaurant, which we wanted, we put it in the purchase development agreement, those uses specific. As you know, and we were very fortunate in Bonnie's hard work and efforts to get the type of uses that in this area, as Chris aptly pointed out, it's huge. So again, it was trying to find a way to supplement the higher, more expensive uses.
And you can see on this slide that the second row would be the out-of-pocket with that 80% taken into an account. So there is still skin in the game, and
I still feel that's what we're here for as the CRA, to try to work these situations out as best we can, especially in this scenario where it's gone on so long, and our vendors are losing their money. We've lost some good businesses behind this, and we understand all those things. And like I said, we learned some lessons here, but let's not penalize our current vendors who are really bending over backwards as much as they can to make this thing happen. If we've figured out a way to do it, I still feel let's move forward with it.
Okay, so I
but
think we've all, Chris, you have one more thing to say?
I've been in the mixed-use building to business and retail business almost all my life. The time to negotiate with the developer is in the very beginning, and you try to cut a deal with a developer, someone like me, and you say, you're going to get this job, but you're going to contribute X dollars per square foot for each of these tenant spaces. The time to negotiate is in the beginning. He'll never agree to something in the end. So I think it's almost a lost cause, although I would suggest one thing that maybe we could try, and I'll be certainly willing to meet with the guy, is to reduce is to approve 70%, go to the developer and say, we've held back 10% and we want you to pay the 10%. And if you don't, we will never do business with you again. Now, he's got something to lose in Boynton Beach. He's a low-income housing tax credit developer. I know all about that. And if he tries to build another project in Boynton Beach, he needs us and the city to write a letter. If you don't write the letter, he does not get the allocation from the state of Florida. He's got a lot to lose. So that's my suggestion for tonight. Approve 70%. Let us go and negotiate with this guy and tell him, you have a chance to be a superhero too, beside the board, but you're going to contribute the other 10%.
So,
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to amend the agreement. Can you give me the language, Catherine?
Sure. Well, at this point, we don't have an agreement for you. So if we could just have your consensus to go negotiate with the developer and bring back something for your approval, we can take into account the discussion here tonight, which, as I understand it, is this board is amenable to adding some percentage to transferring that money to be in this development agreement as an incentive to enter into an amendment, because Mr. Brown is right. We are later in the game, so the incentive would be to add that, but to also add deadlines, and then we, as your staff and legal team, will come up with some formula related to tiering or percentage or something for your consideration next time, so we can bring you back a proposed amendment that would hopefully work with the tenants and with the developer to get some things in place. So we can certainly take it by motion. We can also take it by consensus if you all agree that that's a summary of this conversation and what you'd like us to do.
I could live with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, since there's no action tonight, I can take that by consensus and we'll come back.
Oh, I thought,
Good.
Thank you.
oh, sorry.
Just,
What about
one second. Bonnie, did you want to?
No, I didn't know if y'all did have a more direction on that number, or that is what we're going to.
My understanding was that they were gonna develop a formula to come back to us. If that is not feasible right now, then I understand what you're saying, Chris. I think 60% is fair to then try to get the developer to do 20%. And then I'm not gonna go too high, but here's the thing is if we start at 60, we can come back and give more if needed, if this developer doesn't wanna work with us. The good news is we have the ability to continue.
I would vote tonight for some additional funding so you can go forward, and then you hold back. I suggested cut 10%, you're suggesting cutting 20. I'll let the board decide what that, you want to go with Chris or with Commissioner? The Commissioner.
Don't formulate it that way, Chris.
I support the 20 only because, again, I have a lot of questions
But I would let
after
her
this.
have the funding now, the 70% or the 60% now.
Yeah.
So we can get some of this work done. And then next month, we'll come back and give you a report. And if-
Maybe next month you can have this developer come here for the meeting.
Well, if he comes in, well, that's the best thing, is to get him.
I would like that.
Not online.
Not online.
Not online.
This is before my time. I would love to be able to have an opportunity
No,
for him
no.
to stand up here and have some questions.
The reason we were pushing for some number is because the bills are coming due.
Yeah.
The work's getting
I'll
produced.
do you need a motion for that? So I'll make a motion for 60%. I don't know the exact language, Catherine, of what you need, but to go up to 60% for the construction reimbursement.
Second.
And then also, and you have the consensus to change how that money is going to be allocated, where it'll go straight to contractor. Do you need a motion for that as well?
If you'll approve the motion and then just authorize us to work it administratively, we can do that.
Perfect.
Okay, so we do have a motion for the 60%.
Clarification. Okay, this is for 60%, not 70, right?
Correct.
Yes.
But what we stated earlier is all in consensus agreement. Okay, so we only voting on the 60 versus the 70. Right now, it's just
Correct.
Yes, sir,
60.
you are voting on whether to direct staff to allow the reimbursement to be up to 60%. Separate from that, we will take your direction to work on an amendment with the developer and any other means and come back for your approval for anything else.
Yeah, we may come back, if we're successful, then we'll come back and tell you success. If we're not successful, we're gonna need to discuss what percentage after the 60.
And granted too, I mean, we're going off, we're not looking at anything directly. We're looking at a table in front of us. You know, I would like to see a little bit more information, you know, about what our budget is, what the forecasted revenue, all these things that these business owners do, you know, because I haven't heard anyone say that 80% is absolutely what I need in order to get off the ground. Maybe it's not that. And if it is, then we work with that developer. And if not, then we come back and we have this conversation again. So.
Board Member Turkin, were you meaning if it works for the tenants, the 80%?
Yes.
So I met with them all, and this gets them all within touching distance of their dream world scenario. It gets them very close.
Yeah.
So I think after my conversations with them, that
What-
makes them
what
breathe
gets them
easy.
Close.
Dream.
The 60?
80%.
Dream World does not equate to operational. So that is the only thing I'll challenge is Dream World is great. Operational is what we're trying to accomplish here from my perspective.
Well,
I don't think
yes,
we've ever
operational.
done 60% of a subsidy as on top of rental reimbursement. So we are contributing a lot. I think in reality, this is a Dream World situation for a business owner to have 60% coverage of a build out on top of paying 50% for market rate rent. So again, my position, we have a motion on the table, is the 60%. we'll talk with the developer, and then if we need to have this conversation again, I'm more than happy to do that.
I second that motion, and I also want to reiterate what was stated earlier, to make sure that these businesses are investing back into our community by hiring local. I think that's something that we need tangible results in, and maybe like reporting to the CRA. I mean, we're giving a significant, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and the least we could do is at least have, and I understand sometimes there's like, we may not have the people to do local hiring, but for things like bakery, or, urgent care, dentist, restaurant, like law offices, professional, I can definitely see that there are local Boynton Beach residents that could fill those jobs. So I do want to reiterate that as well.
For clarification, I think like majority of the contractors that are doing the build out are local, but I agree 100% as far as the personnel.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second.
Just a little clarification, we do have existing contracts in place, so the ability for them to change based upon local preference is going to be very difficult. Each one of the tenants have a construction contract in place with RS
No,
Construction.
not construction.
I think
When
she
they
means for the-
when they
okay.
hire people
Okay.
after
Okay.
they open their
Urging
business,
them
like
to,
when they
Right.
open the bakery, the cashier.
If I
Yeah.
may, if we could present alternatives for that goal in the future. However, what you're discussing tonight is not a contract directly with, it's not with the tenants. It's on behalf of the tenants to their benefit. But because there is no contract with the tenant, I couldn't bind the tenant through what we're discussing tonight. However, we do hear your direction and could come up with solutions to bring to you to encourage that in the future if that's acceptable.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion passes 5-0. Moving on.
4-1.
Oh, 4-1. Wait, who said nay?
I did.
Oh, you did. My bad. What you wanted the 70. Okay. 4-1. Moving on, item 14B is the discussion and consideration of an invitation to negotiate for the development of affordable workhouse infill housing.
Good afternoon.
There you
I'll
go.
speed through it because we're revisiting a lot of the same information. At the direction of the board, we're bringing back the plan or strategy for our infill lots. So to recap, we have 5 lots that we'd like to put out for redevelopment for affordable housing, home ownership. Of those 5 lots, 2 lots could be divided into 2 50-foot lots, so we could get a total of 7 single-family homes. This is just a close-up of the lots. When we originally spoke with the board, we discussed an LOI, an RFP, or partnering with the city. The board's direction was to do an RFP. After talking internally with the team and legal counsel, we felt the best strategy would be an invitation to negotiate. This allows for a little bit more flexibility, so that way when the responses come in, we'll have a review committee. We can review the proposals and see if maybe we want to give all the lots to one, divvy them up, have a creative redevelopment strategy or development process with one. So it just kind of gives us the parameters to put out, but also the flexibility to select the respondents. Again, the workforce housing chart, just to recap what income ranges we're proposing. We are saying preference would be given to a respondent that has at least 1 home in the low income category, while all the other homes must be below 100% AMI. Sorry, can't read from here. And these are the terms of,
Bonnie, I'm sorry. The presentation is not showing on our computers. It goes to the CRA cover page, and then there's no presentation on the
Everybody see but us.
laptops. The only people that see it are the audience.
Or we have to turn around. That's all right, keep moving.
Okay.
In the meantime, we'll try to figure it out, but.
all right, so back at the items for, or terms for consideration, this is what's currently in the draft ITN that is attached to the agenda. We're asking for a term of affordability for 15 years. Affordability ranges, as I just mentioned, we'd like preference given to one respondent with at least 1 home with 60 to 80% AMI, while the others are below 120. A construction timeline, we're proposing 18 months, but again, that can be negotiated depending on if one takes all or so on and so forth. Minimum features, 1,500 square feet, 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage, hurricane impact features, windows, appliances, and a minimum of 50-foot lots. We will have a local preference, local contractor preference rather. Developer type, we're open to for-profit or not-for-profit. The end game and goal is 7 single-family homes, and we would be selling the homes through some sort of qualified lottery, similar to the Cottage District. And this is the proposed timeline, and we would issue it this Friday. We would have a voluntary pre-submission meeting for any interested respondents on January 6th here at City Hall. The questions deadline would be January 9th with a submittal date for February 10th. This allows staff time to review, or the review committee rather, time to review the proposals and bring it back to the board at their March meeting. I know that date may change, but it would be the March meeting. And then we're just seeking if you have any other changes before we publish the ITN.
Any questions?
And just, we might change that date depending on what you decide tonight with the March 10th meeting.
Yes.
Got it. Board Member Kelly?
Thank you, Bonnie. This is something that I had I'm glad that we're doing this and finding these properties. I really think that there is an opportunity out there, and I think that the way to go, this is really the best way to go, because I think, like you said,
Yeah, I'm
I think
excited.
we'll get maybe a lot of different options and ideas out there. And really, they bring their best usually when it's not an RFP, because they're really putting it all out there. So, so I'm excited about this. I think that, it'll be great to see what comes out of it. So I'm fine, and like you said, I think that as far as the presentation, it just comes down to that last date, but I'm good with the timeline and how we're proceeding, so thank you,
And we'll
Bonnie.
use our interested parties list. We'll work with the FRA, getting it posted on their site, so we'll try to get the reach out as far as we can on getting the best pool of respondents.
Great.
Anything?
No, just for clarification, so it's an invitation to negotiate. So if we had a contractor that was interested in some of the parcels and proposed single-family residential, maybe for a below-market cost for the property, or deeding it to them, that's open, that's all open, correct? Okay.
I see you looking at me, so I'll answer this, yes. So there's different types of procurement documents. In this case, after discussion with staff, it was determined that an ITN made the most sense because it allows for the broadest format for the most types of applications. And it is specifically says in this ITN that proposers can propose one, some, or all of the lots. And that preference will be given to developers who intend to develop all of the lots, secondary preference to those who develop the next most all the way down to one, so.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions? Or does someone like to make a motion?
Is there a motion to approve the invitation to negotiate plan as presented at this meeting?
Second.
We have a motion to negotiate for the development of affordable workhouse infill housing. We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, board.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Okay, the next item for discussion and consideration is the discussion of project status for the Boynton Beach Office Condominium LLC project located at 1102 to 1110 North Federal Highway. And welcome, Teresa.
Good evening. Teresa Utterback, Development Services Manager. We do have one of the title managers of the condo LLC, Darius, and I believe the other one is online. Is that
Yes.
correct, Sam? I'm going to give you a brief background for you guys. This goes back to 2020. The property is located on the corner of MLK and North Federal Highway, so it's a key corner to that redevelopment area. The board at the time approved two ideas for the property, a radio station and an engineering firm. They got together, formed an LLC. They went into permitting, things were going great, they closed. Part of the closing was they would come up with cash, in-kind services, and a soft mortgage.
Back in July, we brought before the board an extension for that soft mortgage to be forgiven because originally it was based on the purchase and the repayment was based on the permit, and we don't have permits yet, so we extended that to be based on, it would be forgiven 5 years after they received a CO, because it just had been dragging on for too long. So at this point, we've got a couple of issues that have come up. The one being the extended time that it has sat in permitting since May of 2022. It's gone through 6 review cycles. Again, we extended the soft mortgage in July. We have another deadline coming up in January of where the in-kind services, if they were not used up within the 5-year period, would be due 5 years from the effective date of the contract, which was in 2021. So now we're looking at the 5 years in January, those in-kind services will become due. The issue then becomes is one of the owners has now requested that they be removed from the project, and those in-kind services will have to be addressed because that's very specific. It was radio coverage. So we wanted to just have a full discussion because that time's coming up in January, and we all thought it would be best to kind of talk about it now and get direction. I was looking for, however this moves forward, really a time certain on the permitting. We normally don't do that because of the permitting process. It does take a while, there's no question about it. However, our city is really great at getting through things through permitting. It's been a very effective group of people over there, and they're really on it. So I can watch it now, and I can literally see the turnaround time from staff at the city and the owners. So I wanted a time certain on the permitting, and also we had given them 2 years to complete the project, fully construct the project and get their CEO after their permit was issued. I want to reduce that down to 18. I think time is of the essence on this, and like I said, whichever direction we go, I just wanted to kind of clear up these deadlines and get them straightened out so we can get a building on that property.
So staff is not looking for any type of necessary direction. The idea was to have this come before you, so you had an opportunity to think about how you'd like to proceed. You guys have a lot of opportunity here. The representatives are here to discuss, and how you would like to move forward is what we're looking for.
Yeah, I'm struggling with, here we are 5 years after we have a intersection, a prime intersection on Federal Highway, and I'm just at a loss as to how we get to the point where we have owners backing out and a permit pending for several months on some comments. So Teresa, I agree that I think there needs to be some firm deadlines, because I feel like if not, then we just keep kicking the can. And really this is a prime spot and a prime opportunity for development, and it continues for now 5 years, sitting empty and unused and collecting weeds. So my position is for staff to try and, or to, work with the potential owners on the timelines, because I can't keep allowing this to just keep continuing as is, because we're at a prime turning point for the city. And it's hard to stomach this 5 years later. So that's my position on that. Thank you.
Anyone else have any comments?
I would very much ask if we could hear from Darius on how they would like to proceed and what they're proposing and what they're looking to do.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Darius Bardales. I'm the owner of BDH Consulting Group. We're an engineering firm and engineering and surveying firm. We're local. We've been, we're residents of the city of Boynton Beach. We've been here for over 22 years, and we care about the city, number one. We initially contracted with a developer's agreement with a CRA, in full faith with our partner, Sam, who owns a radio station. And so we're doing everything good with good intentions. For some reason, he decided to back out. And we were in the permitting process. You keep talking about the permitting process. And we have addressed all the plans are approved for building, also for site. The step that we're at right now is for the technical compliance issues, items, which is basically the recording of an easement, getting some consent forms signed by the utility companies, and that type of items. We actually submitted all those technical compliance items today. Of course, this is a permitting process, so we're gonna see if we get any comments from the city regarding that. But initially we got I know we've gone through several cycles of review, but the site is very small, and it's in an area where it meets the CRA building requirements and also the city, and it's a very tight site to develop. So we were having issues with landscaping, believe it or not, because the city, during the permitting process, they wanted a lot of landscaping to meet the city guidelines on the right-of-way, so that it would be nice for people to see. So finally, we resolved that issue at the beginning of this year by, just recommending something else that does not really meet the city guidelines, but is like best management practices. And so now, like, if hopefully you can put yourself in my shoes, with the engineering company, we want to develop the site. We have all the intentions, but then we had budgeted, for developing the site with a partner. Now our partner backed out, and we fully respect his decision. I love Sam, he's a great guy. And but at the same time, I would like to know if, we're gonna continue with the permitting process. If we get any comments for the technical compliance items, we'll resolve them. That should be no issue. But at the same time, I know that, like Teresa mentioned, the in-kind services are due next month. And just recently, when we came here in, when was it, June?
July.
July, we renegotiated the mortgage that would, that if, in case we sold the property, then, we had to pay the mortgage, and we said that we had no issue because we had no intention of selling. We want to remain in Boynton Beach, and we had the business for 12 years. Every year we're growing 10%, and now we're ready to develop. We need to have an office. And it would be great if the city and the CRA can work with us. And but I would like to request at least 1 or 2 months for us to sit down with Teresa and Tim with the CRA, just to look at the contract and see how we can move forward and develop the site. And another thing, to consider also, we're working with, after we got the news from our partner backing out, we've been working with a bank, and we've been applying for the 504 loan, which is a federal loan, and to construct, but the government was shut down. And after it reopened, there was a big backlog. So we haven't really made much progress with the loan. So we're trying to see if we can buy him out, because all Sam wants is he wants to be paid for whatever he has put into the project. And we understand his, his wishes. We're trying to see how we can work it out so that we can, we can make that happen. At the same time, Sam has not provided that many in-kind services as opposed to us. At BDH, any work that the CR sends our way, we complete it. and we pay the in-kind services. But at the radio station end, they haven't done as much. So his in-kind services amount of money that is due is a lot more than ours. So that's something that we did not plan for. So we need to adjust. If you can, work with us, so we would appreciate it just to, look at the, developers agreement terms. And if it goes 1 or 2 months to work with the Teresa and team, just to figure that out, then we would really appreciate it.
May I ask
But I just want to add that we are fully committed to develop the site. We don't want to go anywhere. We're from Boynton. We love Boynton, and we want to stay here. And
May I ask what your buyout is with him? How much he wants?
it's about it would be about how much is there is in his in-kind services?
I don't
No,
know.
the
outstanding-
on your
Well,
agreement.
The
It's
outstanding,
like $120,000, 150.
And you're
almost.
trying to get the funding to do that?
Exactly, yeah, correct. And as things are running behind because of the government shutdown.
Right.
So we're working with the bank.
Do you have a timeline of, if you're working with the bank, have they given you any pre-qualification or that you're looking good in this file that you could provide to the board just to show that this may be in motion?
They haven't provided anything yet. Yes, they're asking us for documentation. The last thing that they asked us for was the profit and loss.
Right.
And we submitted, and they said, oh, you have to revise it. And so our accountant is working on getting that to them.
Okay, any comments? Any questions?
if I may, what is the intent? If you're taking over Sam's portion, what are you looking to do with the remainder or the additional portion of that building?
Rent it out.
You're going to rent it out?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll rent it out. Actually, we have come up with different ideas. I love work with the community, and I like that type of co-op working spaces. So we're shooting the idea of just since we have 4 units, 1 unit being just for our business, and then the other 3 units doing like a co-op, so we can share the office space with other small businesses. And I think in that, if we do that, then that's also going to help other small businesses in the area. And I know that the city of Blackworth and the city of West Palm, they have a lot of co-op offices. We don't have that many here in Boynton. So if that helps us anchor our local businesses, then that would help everybody out.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea, and I think I agree with you. We need a co-work space. This has to move. I mean, I can't, I'm not going to give any more extensions or anything. Like, we're not revising agreements to give extensions. And like Teresa said, she wants to even put a deadline, decrease the deadline from 2 years to 18 months to just because, and I get it. I understand the financial aspect. I understand you're trying to go for a federal grant, and that is an uphill battle. I mean, we have so many people that come to us that are like, we're looking for federal grants, and then they're waiting years and years for federal grant money because they get denied and they have to reapply, and it's a very difficult process. So, I mean, next month, we'll be talking about this again, right? And so by the next meeting, by next month, then I would expect that you would meet with meet with CRA staff and have a plan in place, and we would have more of an understanding of the direction that you're going in, and you'd have a plan with your co-owner and a plan to move forward, because believe me, I want to support you. You're a city resident. We want you to succeed. We want a co-work space. It's a prime property that we're sitting on too, and you have to understand that we're looking at 5 years and to still be looking at dirt. So
May I speak? Okay, so we're during the meeting today, one of the items is to revise the developers agreement, and it actually shortens the time from 24 months to 18 months. That actually negatively affects us. And just in the same manner, you mentioned that you do not want to revise the developers agreement, but that's in fact what we're doing right now. And we're just asking, that please, be lenient with us, and please work with us, and so that we can develop the property.
Yeah,
And
we're having a
local business.
right.
And
No, I
so-
understand. We're having a discussion right now. I was merely saying that in a month, we're going to come back and have this discussion. And by then, I expect that you will have met with CRA staff and have a
Yes.
plan in place and some direction on timelines that you think are reasonable and expected for you to be able to comply with. So we have some sort of movement forward, because what we've seen is, I mean, I talked to city staff too, so I know what's happening on the permitting end, and it's been sitting and waiting for comments back. And so there has to be some constant movement of this moving forward for us to continue to kick the can down the road. And I'm not trying to, I'm just being honest. This is why we're up here, is to make sure that Boynton Beach is the best that it can be, and they're not looking at dirt. And we're looking at dirt 5 months or 5 years later. And so I just want to have a plan. I want you to work with CRA staff, and I want you to come up with a plan that is reasonable and that makes sense and that we're okay with and that you're okay with. And if it's not, then we'll know in a month.
Exactly.
And we'll come back and have a discussion in a month.
If we can reconvene for February, that would be great. That gives us enough time.
But we have a
because of the
deadline in
holidays.
January.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Is there, okay, I do want to say
we
something.
have that.
I've had, kind of like off topic, but somewhat relevant. I've had a lot of constituents have issues with permits and things of that nature. Sometimes they have to come back multiple times for multiple things. I've been told that they've requested stuff after the fact that wasn't originally requested. So I did have a conversation with city staff about it, and they're working on a solution. But the same way that it happens to local residents, it could also happen to business owners. And I think that there's that opportunity where it might have happened in this case. At the same time, we did in fact have a government shutdown for probably the longest one in our history. I would say, is there a possibility for us to do something to give a little grace to this business owner to reconvene within 60 days instead of 30 days? We're literally in December, about to be in the holiday season. A lot of things are closed for the holidays, and I don't know that 30 days would be reasonable to come back in the meeting in January. I do understand there's some sort of a deadline. I wonder, is there anything we can do to potentially change that or no?
So let me just to clarify, the in-kind services will be due on January 21st.
How much is that?
After their in-kind services right now stand at 159,910, so almost 160,000. They won't be in default until after January 21st. We're not going to have a meeting, there's no sense meeting in January anyways. So that would absolutely push us to February. I just wanted for clarity, because it's not going to be like the 1st of January, and we'll bring it back to you at the January meeting, so.
Unless we wanted to pursue an amendment that might head off a potential default. So if we wanted to pursue an amendment that would perhaps incorporate deadlines, but allow some flexibility.
Which is
in
why I
in-kind
wanted the
services.
conversation to happen before the next meeting,
Right.
but before the deadline, so unfortunately, I think we have to keep the hard deadlines, because if we don't, then he's in default. And then we're talking about waiving defaults or other issues. And so if we're going to come up with plans and timelines that make sense for everyone, we have to, it has to be done sooner rather than later.
And in this timeline, do you know that would you know in 45 days if you're going to be able to get funded or not from a bank? Your accountant's doing your P&L, you're submitting it. I mean, pre-quals don't take that long.
I will submit what they asked me for, but I cannot foretell what they're gonna say.
Okay, well, I
Yes,
think that
yeah.
that's something that has to be involved in this. I mean, much like real estate and loan, there's a time period. And
Okay.
you apply for a loan and they give you an answer pretty quickly,
Yeah.
so I'd get on
I
your CPA.
will find out, and if I get a response,
I'd just
I'll
like
let you know.
that to be in this timeline of whatever we decide to do. Go ahead.
I mean, the fact that we traded in-kind services for this whole deal is just fishy in itself, and it's been 5 years. I mean, hell, This is probably the same board that did Town Square. I mean, the only difference is we got a reverter clause in this deal. I mean, this is insanity. Listen, I'm going to go with consensus. My opinion's a little bit bullish. It's been 5 years. We have a reverter. You know, we'll see what happens next month. I understand things take some time. The city's growing at the fastest rate it's ever grown, and we can't get enough people in our building and engineering department to help process all this. But I mean, this was just, to be frank, this was a horrible deal by the former CRA board to trade $100,000 in professional surveying services and then $95,000 for an the advertising credit's even worse. And, you know, I mean, it's just, I can't really stomach this. I don't know what can happen from now until January and now until February, but I think we're going to be here in February talking about the same thing. So, you know, my position is I would just revert the land back. I mean, that's where I'm at. Thanks. Because I don't know if that's the highest and best use of that land right there. I think there's a lot more opportunity. You know, when we acquire real estate, we're looking at the highest and best use, and you know, this kind of piggybacks or echoes the sentiment of having the CRA really acquire as much as possible so that we can control what the vision is for that highest and best use.
Great.
So that's all I got to say. Thanks.
That's a key location in our community, that intersection, and you know, here we go again.
Yeah, it's been 5
But
years.
we're going to be back here in February. That's the way I feel. And I know a lot of places, like Commissioner Cruz was saying, they shut down, go on vacation, go enjoy the holidays. So I could stretch it to February, which I know it's going to be anyway. So another bad, well, anyway, those are my comments.
Right, well, at this moment, what do we need to do? Make a motion to extend it to February, or is that a consensus thing, or?
So there are several options here. So by the time the February meeting rolls around, you would have the full suite of options, which would be if the in-kind services amount has not been paid. So if $160,000 has not been paid, the contract will be in default. At that point, you would have the option to direct us to exercise the reverter. If you'd like for us to, in the meantime, pursue an amendment seeking, it sounds as if the property owner is interested in, you know, potentially negotiating some deadlines in exchange for some grace on the amount owed. We could pursue that, or we won't spend that time if that's not an avenue the board is interested in.
Question, do you think you're going to be able to pay the in-kind on time? Beyond,
We're doing our best to do that. The only thing is that, you know.
Answer the question.
I mean, it's a month away, so like, you know your books.
So we had like at our end, you know, we're talking about on the agreement that we had two businesses, right? At our end, we had planned and budgeted for our portion of the agreement. So now we're trying to figure out how we can accommodate for Sam's portion of the agreement as well.
And so
So I don't have an answer for you. I mean, I can cover my in-kind services, but extending it to, you know, Sam's, that's the.
Is not.
Does, you know.
Okay.
Yes. And I'm talking in all honesty here, you know, but at the same time, I'm telling you, we're fully committed to develop the site. I see that you're.
Question that when you don't have your financing in order and your pre-approval, so.
Well, we're working on it now.
It's been 5 years, the
Well,
market's been up and down, and interest
it just happened. You know, it hit us like a cold shower. You know, that Sam backed out. He came here in July, and he was fully committed. You know, he was in the meeting, and, you know, things happen.
Okay.
And, you know, I respect his decision, but at the same time, you know, for us at my end, it hit me like a cold shower. I wasn't prepared for it. I wasn't really expecting it.
And
So we're adjusting.
If we engage the reversion clause, then we never get paid this in kind, right?
So, okay, so to be clear, there's no default yet. CRA is
Right,
not,
if there was.
but if that were to happen, then we would revert the property back back to the CRA. And so there's a sort of reconciliation that happens with the financing at that point.
Okay.
It's complicated, but
Okay.
yes.
Anyone else have anything left to say on this?
So if I understand, you do not wish for us to pursue negotiating an amendment at this point, and you do wish to see this item again in February. Is that correct?
Yes, for me.
Okay, we will take no action. Okay.
Okay. We need a motion for it, or we just a consensus? We're good. Okay.
Consensus.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Hope
Board.
it works out. Good luck.
Hi, can I just add something?
Next time we won't.
Hello?
be so
Sam, can you identify yourself?
Sure, Sam Rogatinsky. Good evening. I wanted to address a couple things. First of all, the process with the city has been very, very hard, and even though it's taken 5 years, it's really, I know you have a lot of people working there, but Darius has had lots and lots of obstacles getting through. But that's not why I'm getting out. There's no reason for me to continue because it doesn't make economic sense, what you were saying. For our business, it doesn't make economic sense to build a small office there for our type of business. Initially, we thought we could, but you could rent it cheaper than than building it. So in terms of building, it's a total of 2,700 feet with no parking, very little parking, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for us to build it. We'd be paying 3 times what we could rent it for, and if we built the building for our type of business, and it doesn't make sense for us. As far as in-kind services, the radio station's been there. We've done a lot of advertising, and they could do all that. They can get all their in-kind services in 1 month. We can't force the CRA to spend money, to use the advertising credits. They can use as much as they want of it. They can do it on 1340, they can do it on 96.1, they can do it on 980, they can do it on all the stations that we have. But nobody does it. So if you're not taking the in-kind services, you can't come and say, hey, Sam, you owe us in-kind service money. Because if you're not using it, I can't force you. I can't make advertisements for the CRA and put it on the radio, because then you'll say, what are you doing? There's a staff there. They all know that they have in-kind services. At this point, maybe everyone's trying to cover themselves and say, oh, we're owed in-kind services, but that's not going to work with me, where you're going to say, oh, you owe the in-kind services, so we're reverting. It's not going to work with us. We're not going to go down like that. They can use it if they want it. With Darius, they have to give him work. He has to do it. We have advertising time, lots and lots of advertising time covering all of Palm Beach and now Broward. So if they want to use it, they should use it now, because if they don't use it and they come back to me in January and tell me, oh, we're reverting you because of that, it's not going to fly. We're not going. And I spoke to people about this already. So we are here. Use the time. We said it from the beginning. You can use all the advertising you want. And one of the commissioners said, oh, that's weird for advertising. Well, advertising works. The fact is, advertising works, and that's why we have 980 and 1340 and 96.1 and 103.9 and 92.7 in Fort Lauderdale. So if you want to use it, it's there, but don't make a meeting and say, oh, Sam didn't give us in-kind. You could have the in-kind, all of it, next week. If you want to go heavy on advertising, we'll blow through your in-kind and there won't be an issue. So I'm putting on the record now, everybody sees it and recorded. You can have your in-kind, use it.
Thanks, Chair. I would love to see the ROI from the advertising used and how that's benefited the CRA from the history of this deal. This was a very bad deal. It should have never been done. And I look forward to looking at this, because my position is to acquire the land back via reverter. And when is the technical default? The date?
I believe the in-kind service payment is currently due January 21st.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
At the same time, I have complied with all the jobs that the CRA has requested from me. And every time they wanted a survey or any work, we've done it. It's just that, if we had gotten more work, then we would have paid the in-kind services as well. And there's no fishy part of in-kind services. I mean, we're providing a service. So.
It's litigation.
Yeah.
That's all it's going to be. It's going to be litigation. That's where it's going to go. If that's how his position is, it was a bad deal when they made it, this, that, and the other. Listen, if you want the property, you can buy it back from me. No problem. So
I trust
really
our legal
clear. I'm not-
counsel.
I'm not gonna make
All right,
that
call
kind
to
of money on-
question,
Yeah,
Mayor, let's
call to
move forward.
question, let's move on.
Move on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, for real.
Okay.
The next item for discussion and consideration is the discussion and consideration of additional funding for the tax increment revenue for the Ocean One project located at 114-222 North Federal Highway. Is there someone from city staff that wants to start with this, or go right to Bonnie? Or,
Start, okay.
okay, you're on.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, nice to see you. Happy holidays. I hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving. So as you're aware, I'll just give you a little background. We had submitted an additional TIF request a handful of months ago. We came back to you to ask if you could just authorize Mr. Abramson to go forward with the fiscal gap analysis, which he did. We thank your staff for working with us, and you as well. And that came back. And you know, we can go into it in more detail if you wish, but I know you've been provided that document. At this point, we'd like to update you to start on what's happened since you last saw us. And what I mean by that is when we were here back in May and June, when the last TIF was awarded. And I'm going to turn it over to Jordan Thaler, who will bring you up to speed.
Hi, everybody. There's been a lot of progress. We have effectively completed all of the GMP. Well, we're 98% bid out. We have a very, very good handle on exactly what the construction costs are. We have full plans. We are in, I believe, the 5th round of permitting with the city right now. We have paid approximately $500,000 already for a building permit. We just got internal funding, so we are about to pay $661,000 for the water and sewer cap fees. This will then trigger the Department of Health regulation review, and after that, we will, fingers crossed, hopefully have the last round of, and again, I'm not technical, what I believe is the LDP permit. At that point, we should be sort of good to go from a technical perspective. We have also worked very, very diligently to get partners on board that really want to see this thing go forward. Having said that, and we're actively in the negotiation process right now. Having said that, that isn't done. This request is part of that entire conversation. So we are right there. We have, also as it relates to the TIF, just FYI, I believe it's January 23rd, we have a meeting, job fair set up with CareerSource for local hiring for this project. So all of that is being set up right now, and I think we've been coordinating with Michael Kelleher at the city for that entire process. So we are fully engaged. We plan to move forward, but this is still a very important piece of that entire puzzle.
And to add, at the meeting that TIF was awarded, our economic consultant, Hank Fishkind, made a recommendation that was well in excess of $16 million then. We had, Mr. Abramson had come back with a very extensive report, and I won't go into all the details, but he had recommended a number of 11.5, and that was about a year and a half ago. We had agreed to that number. However, at the meeting, that number was reduced to 9 million, which we accepted that with an understanding that we had a lot of work to do to make that number work, and we have made huge progress. My client's gone back and worked very closely with their GC, who is excellent, and the GC has worked with the subs to try to scale back the cost. That was our goal, is to get as lean and mean as possible, and we've made some real strides in that department. We've had some good things happen in the world, and we've had some not as good things happen in the world. You know, the labor pool has shrunk a little bit with what's going on in our world. However, financing has, loan rates have come down a little bit. So we've seen a lot of progress, and we have rid ourselves of some costs that, which just came back to tightening our belt and rerunning numbers. So, but we are just not there yet. And so we're here today to ask for some help so that we can get here. I can tell you that I am working with the lender to get to a closing. We've done a zoning opinion, they're satisfied with what they've seen, but they recognize too that the margins are razor thin with this deal, and that's why we're back before you. And we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Anyone have any questions or comments?
Thank you, Bonnie. Jordan, how are you? I'll be very transparent. I can't do the 16 million. I know that we initially started at 11.5, went down to 9. I understand all the factors, that have caused this project to be delayed. And, I know, we've heard almost there time and time again. I'm okay with going to what was originally asked and what the analysis calls for. I think that is justified. I cannot in good faith go anything above that unless we were to look at any potential changes to the project, which again, I know for the economics of the project would be probably costly to go back into architecture and, any major site plan change. That's my position, and, I'm okay to move forward with that original ask. Because of the justification economically. Outside of that, I don't know, what our other alternatives are between the CRA and then, and the city.
I do agree. I support that as well, the 11.5. This is such a big piece of our downtown, and for it to just, and again, I go back longer than you, Commissioner Turkin, in the neighborhood, and I'll say it, I remember when it was the Bank of America building and you couldn't go there and you'd get robbed in your car and the prostitutes. And so it's just been, it was a blighted blighted property for so long. And so to me, to leave this empty for this amount, we're so close to having what the residents want is a viable downtown. And I do like the project. And again, this was before my time, but as a resident, a downtown resident, I would like to give the help that's needed to get this thing moving.
Thank you.
Yes, for me, I agree. I think we need to go forward with the recommended amount, and we need to get this project off the ground.
Thank you very much.
And I too could support that, go with the original amount.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And I just want to also, for the record, again, don't let the enemy of good be evil or be great, right? You don't want anything to be.
Don't let the enemy
You don't let the enemy of
be perfect.
That always slides off your tongue so
I
easily,
know,
except
I
for
know.
right now.
You know what? I just don't know what's going on today. I think I'm still upset about the last deal.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So,
Shook everyone up.
What's the alternative, right? The alternative is you guys can't perform, you have to sell the project, then we get a 10, 12-story building or another Live Local project, which, I think, again, is not what residents want to see. We have an opportunity, we can be a partner in the revenue share with the parking. You guys have worked with us. And so, again, I don't want perfect to be the enemy of good.
That's
It
it.
is.
Yeah.
We did it.
Thank you.
You didn't
we
think
very much
about it,
appreciate
it just happened, yeah.
Motion to approve.
Yeah.
Second.
For discussion real quick, because I haven't had a chance to speak yet. It's okay. You're what we want in that you pushed it all forward. Not knowing if we were gonna get to this point, you guys have not stopped working and stopped pushing this project and being on the phone with city and meeting with city. And if there is a permit issue or some question or you're on the phone with them, what's the solution? What can we do? Is it just stuck on somebody's desk because they're on vacation, or is there really an issue? So it's one of those things where when you hear the opposites, you have a developer who is here who has push forward regardless of whatever rocks have been, and boulders have been put in your place, and push forward. And so regardless of, whether you had our support, you had our support, but whether you had our full support or not, you still pushed the project forward because, in talking to you and Rob, I know you guys have bought into Boynton, and you want to see this succeed as much as we do, and the city succeed. And you've always, through this whole process, you've been a partner with the city. We had not many people know this, but I had to get Jordan on the phone on Friday night at 10 p.m. to get our parking situated for the parade the next day, and he jumped through hoops to get it done. And that's really what a true partnership is when it comes to building our downtown and making sure that through the construction process that there really is that communication, that partnership, and that's really what you want in the developer. So I'm excited I talked to Adam this week about your progress on the city end, and so I'm super excited to hear it really, moving forward. So
This is an incredibly important project for us as well. And, we bought this in 2021, and we, through this process, have really felt part of the community. And this intersection is just going to be fantastic.
Well, I think you did it, when in the process with Marina Village and the issue, but you didn't hesitate to meet with them as many times as they needed to and make whatever accommodations you could. And so that's really, when you come back and you ask because the environment is different, it's because of those things and because of that partnership that this is, doable and palatable, and we can see it because we see the value in what we're gonna get. That we're not just gonna get a building that then we're gonna have to continue to fight about. Is that we're gonna get a product that the city is proud of and that the residents are proud of. So I support my colleagues on this, and thank you, Jordan, and thank you, Bonnie.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
I just wanted to add, you do have Mr. Abramson.
Oh, yeah, he is online.
If you have any questions.
No.
And I'm sorry, if you could specify a number in your motion, that would be very helpful for the record.
Sorry, let me go back to.
I believe it was 11.5 in the discussion. That's for you all, but that's, a
11.5.
motion, a number is important in the motion.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion to approve.
Additional funding.
11.5 additional funding. of
No, not 11.5 additional.
Total.
Easy.
Total.
I saw Jordan smile.
We'll take that, though. We will take that if you want to offer.
Increase the current fund. Motion to approve the current TIF funding from 9 million to
11.5.
11.5 million.
As originally requested.
As originally, no, because I think the
Recommended, I
original
think.
request was 16
Yeah.
million.
Or agreed, okay.
11.5 million for total TIF.
And are we adjusting the years, the terms for the
The
years?
request was from 12 to 15.
I believe that's correct, yeah, to account for those additional years.
I'm okay
I
with
believe
it.
that was for the 16 million request, not for this smaller amount. I have no opinion on this, but to be clear.
You're probably right, that's true. Another year and a half.
I need a definitive number for the amendment.
So currently, we're at 12, and do we,
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't hear any, conversation along the increase in the timeline. And so if we can get some clarification on that.
It would be roughly a little over $1 million a year, so an additional 2 years is probably appropriate given the increase. So from 12 to 14.
So you're requesting 14?
Total, correct.
Okay. So motion to approve the increase of the requested, or the rewarded TIF amount from 9 million to 11.5 million with the change from 12 years to 14 years.
Okay, so that's the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. And your
Thank you.
directions, your decorations look fabulous.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on.
We're super proud of them.
Moving on, we hope to see you there next year, Jordan. The next item for discussion and
doing nice, just
consideration
because
is
we
the
compliment
continued
our lights.
discussion and consideration of 2026 CRA board meeting dates. Who's handling this? Mr. Brown, Mr. Tack?
I'm more than happy to.
Take
if
it
that's
over.
okay.
Keep
Take it
moving.
away.
No worries. So we had originally discussion about the March 10th meeting and conflict with the municipal election day. And now that will not be having the elections, there won't be
Right.
positions that we wanted to see if you wanted to reconsider your position on when you would like to have that meeting, either the day before or possibly the day that it's slated to be on March 10th.
Have it on the 10th.
Yeah, we can just keep it on the 10th. There's no election.
Right, there's an
I'll be
election.
out of town.
Oh,
So,
Oh, that's
and we do have the referendum there, and so I don't know.
okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think that we would
Yeah.
want you to be there.
I'll propose the March 9th if everyone's okay with that.
Sure.
Okay.
Also, the next city commission meeting is January 20th. Our next meeting is January 8th. I just wanted to put that out there in case there was any potential issues for quorum.
For
It's
January
also-
8th?
Yeah, January 8th. It is also supposed to be our joint city CRA
That's a
meeting at 5 o'clock.
Thursday.
Yeah.
So are we
Right.
still having a joint CRA city commission meeting on January 8th? Even though our commission meeting's on the 20th, is that the intent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're not doing it on the 6th.
What are we
'Cause no one was
discussing on
here.
the joint?
Yeah.
8th.
Are we okay with the
Talk about
March
that
9th?
in a
thing?
minute.
Do we,
Yeah.
To,
do we got consensus there? Okay. All right, and then January 8th, that's the date of our joint joint CRA city meeting?
And CRA board
What
meeting.
is the agenda for the 8th?
We were talking about it in
I
like
think
2
we're
items.
identifying later in the meeting if what
Yeah,
the
15B.
agenda's gonna look like.
Yeah.
So I guess first step is, do we want to have this workshop?
Do you
So we
guys
don't
wanna
have an
a workshop?
agenda yet.
We were
There-
going
I
to
mean,
talk
joint
about it in a
meeting, not
minute.
workshop.
There is no defined agenda. We have an agenda item
No
tonight.
defined agenda.
but it's coming up.
It's coming up
coming up.
later, in a
We're
minute.
defining the agenda today if we decide to have the meeting.
Yeah, it's item
So
15B.
should we table this until we define an agenda and keep the March
Well-
9th meeting?
This is my last opportunity
Yeah.
without a special meeting.
Right.
No, meaning later in the meeting, like to talk about what we're going to discuss. Never mind. I'm fine with having the meeting if you guys want to have a meeting.
I mean, I think we do need the January 8th meeting.
Yeah, we talked about the joint meeting and.
There'll be a lot of things to discuss.
City staff is available.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scheduled with them
Yeah.
Okay.
from the last meeting.
All right.
All right.
And we don't have
I
a
just want to make
commission
sure it's
meeting that
good. I
week.
want to make sure
Yeah, I know.
everyone's going to be
Meeting for this
available.
month.
Right, and we
Okay,
don't
we'll
have a
have a quorum.
commission meeting.
We don't have a meeting
this-
next week, so.
And we don't have a
No, just
meeting
making
the
sure.
1st
Yeah.
of January, so,
fine.
So we'll still move forward then.
yeah.
Okay,
That's scheduled.
So move
Okay.
forward, we can come back to this.
But we'll do it at 6, because there's 2 meeting times on our calendar. There's a 5 o'clock joint CRA board commission
Correct.
meeting, and then a CRA board meeting at
Following at
6.
6.
Because we moved our 13th meeting because of Palm Beach County Days to the 8th.
Correct.
So we're having a CRA meeting on the 8th, whether we like it or not. We're just talking about whether or not we're having, right, and so then that's, right. So,
Okay.
are you anticipating our January 8th meeting being heavy, where we can't start at 6 for both?
I have no anticipation of that at all. I just was looking at your schedule and I knew that there were, your next meeting was January 20th. So I just want
6
to make sure
o'clock
that
was a
you're all
better
here.
start time for, I think, for most of us who, so I'd rather start at 6 than 5 for the joint meeting,
I'm fine
and
with
then the CRA meeting immediately after. Everyone okay with that
Yes.
part? Okay. You okay with that? Okay.
So we'll start the
consensus
joint
is
at
good?
6 and the CRA board meeting will follow. And
Correct.
we'll coordinate with the city to make sure they're on page.
Awesome, thank you.
I think we need a motion to amend the date of the March meeting, though.
Okay.
Motion to amend the date of the March meeting to March 9th.
Second.
We have a motion to amend the March meeting to the 9th. We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0. Next item for discussion and consideration is the discussion and consideration of audited financial statements fiscal year 2024-25.
Mr.
Welcome.
Barr Jenkins will be presenting this item.
Discussion and consideration.
Pardon me, I know, it always has it.
I know it's.
I don't know why.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Jabari Jenkins, Accounting and Finance Manager. I will be presenting some highlights from the fiscal year 2025 audited financials. As you're aware, our financials are audited. The financial records are obtained for reasonable assurance and that the statements are free from any material misstatements. And for this year, the auditor opinion is that the financial statements was presented fairly in all material respects, respective to the financial position of the governmental activities for each major fund of the agency. This will be our 17th year that we have received clean annual audited financial reports.
I think that deserves a hand. "17 years, wow.
Yeah. So just to highlight just a few items from the audit. So the tax increment revenues increased by 12%, which increased the net position by approximately 8.72 million, where we ended our net position at 60 million, which is an increase from last year at 51.58 million. The agency had the pleasure of assisting 21 new businesses, adding over 25,000 square feet of new retail, restaurant, and industrial and professional office space. We also ended our fiscal year with an outstanding debt of 2.26 million. So for 2026, that will be our last debt payment on the bonds that we have currently. In our capital asset, we acquired 1.7 million in capital asset. We transferred or deleted approximately 10 million, which left our capital asset at 23 million for the fiscal year. Our long-term liabilities, which are our bonds, we are currently at 2.2 million, and as I stated, that will be paid off in 2026. With our audited, we have an unassigned amount of 2.6 million, which will be discussed later. This is the amount that we usually reallocate in January, so that'll be discussed in more detail later on the January agenda. But we have unassigned 2.6 million that we can reallocate. And those are the items in which I highlighted from the audited to be mentioned tonight. Any questions? Thank you.
B.
Okay, didn't miss anything. Okay. Next item for discussion and consideration is the discussion and consideration of discussion topics for January 2026 joint CRA Board/City of Boynton Beach Commission meeting.
So
Tim?
this is just for your general discussion, so if there's anything in preparation, staff has the ability to prepare that or provide that at that meeting.
Is there gonna be a component to updates on what we discussed at the last joint meeting?
Yeah, we do have the items that were listed as a part of that. We can update on that. Certainly, we'll coordinate with the city. A lot of those items were city heavy, not necessarily CRA staff. I think we had like one, maybe. But this was really more of the idea of what additional you would like for that meeting in particular. In addition to that.
I want to let her finish and then I'll jump in.
No, I don't, I was looking for, I think It's difficult and I'll talk to staff in the meantime too, but it's kind of hard to know what we need to talk about when we had topics that we were, talking about, and so, so I don't have anything on the forefront right now, so I'll circle back with city staff and see where we are on different things that we discussed to just know what is coming up.
I think another item that was, I think was skirted around a little bit was just getting a better idea of budgeting, starting that budgeting discussion and having your priorities and looking how you want, as far as our joint infrastructure, land acquisition, that type of thing as well.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I think that's great, Tim. Let's start the budgeting conversation. And then also, I want to have further conversation about a bond for property acquisition. As I had mentioned earlier, that's an avenue where the city and the CRA can then really paint its vision and determine what highest and best use is. In addition, I had brought this up a couple meetings ago about looking at policy for the marina with local preference for residents, vendors. I don't know if that's a joint meeting or if that's something we can, put on further down the road. And then looking at the financials and the current tenants that we have there, Chris and I drove by and there's like 8 or 9 slips that are rentals. And then really I want to look at like what's the economic impact of each space and what that contributes to the local economy. If one's more than the other, maybe we look at that. We look at rates and just try to make this thing as, economically feasible as possible. And then also looking at, as we move towards our redevelopment of our CRA plan, incorporating more fine-tooth focus on our waterfront, I think is important. I know I've kind of talked about that. This board's decided that, to be, one of our larger initiatives, and maybe just honing in on that. And I don't know if that's something that, we overlap with the strategic plan in the CR plan and how that works, or we fine tooth it with the CRA plan. I think a lot of these workshops are really gonna, or the joint meetings are really going to shape what we want that CRA plan to look like. So maybe that in of itself is discuss the CRA plan and how that ties with the strategic vision of the city. And maybe that's something that we discuss at that joint workshop.
Board Chair, may I respond to board members' question about the policy? So that is in progress. Our office has been coordinating with your dock master to develop that policy. And so that should be before you, maybe next meeting, or it's with but it is in progress. We did take your direction. It's being worked on.
Perfect.
And so that's happening. That is not an item for joint coordination with the city, as this marina is owned by the CRA, but you will see it soon.
Perfect, thank you.
When it comes to, I hear you asking for bond discussion. Can we get background information on, what that would entail, what the CRA's authority is on getting a bond in the first place? I've never done that before, so I need to educate myself on that. And what's our bond rating?
Sure.
Basic stuff that we might need to know at the meeting, just to have that as an agenda backup.
So the executive director and I have a meeting set up tomorrow with the bond counsel from my office to discuss the possibilities and what the CRA would like to see. I know Mr. Brown has quite a bit of experience here, and so we're going to come back to you with recommendations, but those meetings are also in progress.
I'm going to recommend not an underwritten bond. That's extremely expensive. I worked with the City of Port Pierce on one 20 years ago, and the fees were just, they were outright. They'd make you sick to your stomach. I'm going to recommend something that I've done a lot of, and that's bank qualified loans. You have to send an RFP out to banks and say, would you like to lend money to the Boynton Beach CRA? The rates are very good, and you can take the money down in phases, so you're not paying interest on it. The problem with an underwritten loan, you take the money down all at once. And so I just finished working with another city in Central Florida, and they're doing an $18 million bond. It's a very small city, not anything compared to Boynton. and we're working on a phased borrowing. So it's very economical, and I think I'm just going to pitch something that the commissioner talked about in this land acquisition. The future of this CRA, I've been here 3 weeks now, and the future of this CRA is to earn money. It's not to give away money and to spend money recklessly. Some of the commissions in the past, that property on Federal is an example, but we have to buy property. And the reason we have to buy property is we have to aggregate the property. You prevent live local, but you also have the ability to tell the developers, this is what we want. And if you don't want to do it, then you're not invited to our party. But this is how we make money in the CRAs, is with land. The second important priority, so I'm giving my speech now, I'll give it again. The second important one is business attraction. And what we talked about today in MLK is exactly what we should be doing, but we do it in also other parts of the city. And if we were to expand MLK or 9th Avenue, we want to do some more business attraction. So I want to make sure we have enough money for that. And for some of the new businesses that are coming in, all of these new multifamily projects, we got to be, and I've talked to Bonnie about this, we're going after a coffee shop for the villages right now. We have a meeting next week from this Friday. We're going to go visit a coffee shop, and we're going to take Manny Mato with us. So this is the second most important. And then the third is infrastructure, because in infrastructure, and I know all you believe this, so I'm preaching to the lead preachers, is that you must make your roads beautiful, because people won't come to a city unless they come in the beautiful roads. And that's why people live here, work here, and spend their money here. So that's how that's my priority of how we make money. Okay?
Great, I love it. Okay. Any other questions? Any other thing we need to do before we wrap it up?
No, we're not going to use them all.
What? I used a whole box. I used a whole box of Kleenexes up here, just so you know. I'm sure you guys can hear it. That's what happens when I'm out and about so much. Okay, so we are.
I do have a comment to technology back there.
I think your mic's
These
on.
two screens.
They should face us. To face us.
Yeah, something. Make it come on one of these screens there. I like to see.
People's faces of the speakers. Yeah.
When you want to do
Yeah.
Turn. I got my mic on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to see the faces of people who are talking to us online, and I don't want to have to peep around. I can't see the screen. So can technology work something out? Put it up here, down here, somewhere.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And also,
Put another screen.
while you're doing that, look into putting the what do you call it? Caption. The
caption.
words,
Closed caption,
so I can
yeah.
read it.
That is on that one.
It's on that one.
Yeah.
It's on that one, and we need to be able to see it up here. So
Okay.
just kind of put that on the
Put an extra
I'm with
TV
you.
up here.
yeah.
Might need an extra
Considering
TV.
I'm just starting to be
somewhere.
able to see again. Is
Thank
there
goodness.
anything else from my colleagues, or if no further discussion, do I have a motion to
Motion
adjourn?
adjourned.
Second.
We have a
Merry
motion.
Christmas and happy holidays.
Merry
Second.
Christmas,
All those in favor
everyone.
say
Happy
aye.
holidays.
Happy
Aye.
Hanukkah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed say nay. Thank you so much. Motion passes. Thank you so much. Have a great holiday season, everyone.